Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Welcome to Danny and Stan's Football Weekend, brought to you by NoNonsenseHealthCareNinja.com. We thought we were going to have smiles all around this weekend as great performances and winning performances from the college teams that were in action on Saturday with Kansas off. And then certainly seemed like everything was set up for the Chiefs to take care of business against the Raiders, and it certainly seemed that way for a while in the game as well. But it all turned on its ear and raises some questions finally for the Kansas City Chiefs and some introspection perhaps as the Chiefs dropped their first game in almost a calendar year to the Oakland Raiders yesterday. And actually, maybe the score was even closer than the way the game played, as a matter of fact, as Oakland was able to turn the game around and then kind of dominate, maybe kind of like K-State in a couple games this year where they were getting whooped pretty good and then turned around and kind of dominated the proceedings. Lots of things to dive into as the Chiefs' offense, which was so hot early, once again got into a long patch of struggling, and we'll check in on the issues with that. All kinds of things on the table today. It's going to be fun, as usual, with Stan Weber on our Danny and Stan's Football Weekend, brought to you by NoNonsenseHealthCareNinja.com on the Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Let's get rolling. Coming up next. It's time now to get some great assistance on healthcare with Chad Beisel from NoNonsenseHealthCareNinja.com. And Chad, even your business's name would indicate that you have a real aggressive way and an important way to go after some health insurance for your clients.
What I've found out in the industry is just a lot of people are really confused. They don't know what plans are good, what their plans offer, how they cover. And so I've just taken the approach of being really educated on what options are available to clients and showing them all the options that are available and making sure they understand them so they can pick and choose what options are good for them.
And one thing that's really important, of course, is access to doctors and hospitals.
Absolutely. That's becoming a big issue for a lot of people. Some of the plans out there are going to restrict those clients to where they can and cannot go. So if you live just outside the Kansas City metro, some of the counties outside, you may not be able to go to some of the hospitals up here in the Kansas City area. So making sure that you have a plan that's got doctors and hospitals and places you want to go is really, really important today.
Learn more by visiting NoNonsenseHealthCareNinja.com and let Chad help you. Cinematic Visions has been an affordable solution for professional media production in Kansas City since 2003, offering award-winning video production and creation, as well as a wide array of digital and social media management services. From planning, scripting, filming, editing, and post-production, to delivering your product to a watching world, Cinematic Visions will provide professional and affordable services for you and your business with the necessary return on investment to make it all worthwhile. Cinematic Vision's goal is to unlock the power of storytelling through video and a strong online presence for your company. Beyond the numbers, they want to inspire and evoke your clients to feel and act. Let my friends at Cinematic Visions embed your brand where it belongs, in your customers' minds. You can find them online at cinematicvisions.com or with a quick phone call at 816-600-6300. Most of us have experienced auto accidents, and it's no fun. And even less fun is trying to work on the insurance aspects afterwards and getting full value after an auto accident. I'm here with David Cowan from RecExpert.com. And David, you have an unusual and important niche for people after an auto accident.
We have a passion to teach car wreck clients what they deserve. Getting your car repaired only fixes the damage and the paint. Getting paid for your car's loss in value is called diminished value. Chances are you've never heard of this before because most people aren't looking out for you. We help people collect thousands to tens of thousands of dollars for their car's loss in value after the wreck.
And if somebody wants to come to you for that, what's the original assessment cost them?
We offer a free review of any insurance claim to see how we can help.
You can't beat that. Great expertise and assistance in getting full value after an auto accident from David Cowan. Visit RecExpert.com and learn more. We're here with Joe Spiker, the CEO and president of Easton Roofing. And Joe, you had a great year in 2019, a record year. 2020 comes, things are moving smoothly along, and then the coronavirus comes. But your company seemed to be very ready, very proactive, and very ready to serve your customers well.
Yeah, we adopted social distancing very early before the cities even put out the notices. and we started working from home. We are largely cloud-based as a company, so that transition was easy. Our technicians are wearing masks and gloves, and salespeople are not meeting with homeowners. We're doing everything digitally and doing everything we can to do our part to get over this as quickly as possible.
So for any needs that people have right now, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Well, you can always call us, 913-257-5426. But the best way is to go to eastonroofing.com, put your information in, and we'll give you a call.
Easton Roofing. Integrity matters.
If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at Danny@DannyKlinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you.
Well, Stan, let's start with the big story of the weekend. It looked like Missouri was almost certain to be the big story of the weekend with their great upset victory that you thought they had a chance to pull off, and indeed they did, in really rather strange fashion. A defense that didn't do a damn thing all day comes up with great plays at the end. But let's start off with the Kansas City Chiefs, who are basically the story nationally, if not for maybe Dak Prescott's big injury for the Dallas Cowboys. This game for the Chiefs, I don't know, sometimes when games start off a certain way, maybe a team that I think is a little fat and happy these days and a little too cocky maybe gets into a sense of false security, and I think there's a lot of different things that play with the Chiefs here, but I'm so interested to get your opinions on it. Chiefs come out rolling, make some big plays, get the lead, and then it all kind of fizzled away, and a big part of it was the fact that the Raiders just took a punch and didn't go away.
Well, Danny, it's great to talk to you again, and a lot going on in football. You got to play all 60 minutes, obviously. We found that out throughout the weekend, ending with Sunday Night Football. The Seahawks again come out with finding a way to win. But we talk a lot with you in my conversations here on the podcast and then also on Sports Radio 810 when we do College Game Day. And there are different things that we throw out. And one that you always have said to watch out for is when a team gets ahead early, watch out that the team can bounce back. And here you go. This is a great example of what you like discussing because the Raiders, I thought, were a dangerous opponent. I thought Derek Carr has played well. John Gruden and the system, the quarterback-coach relationship has built. They're doing a better job. John Gruden's not a miracle worker in my mind, but I think he's getting better at coaching the NFL teams, and Derek Carr's not nearly as bad as most Kansas City Chiefs fans want to say, just write him off. So I thought that they would be a dangerous opponent. But then when the Chiefs got ahead 14-3, he said, well, not today, in my mind. But I should have thought of Danny and said, is it possible it was too easy to start with and the game would still stay alive and you might get caught thinking that here we go, the Chiefs in flux. Do they play on Thursday night with a quick turnaround? Do they play on Sunday against the Bills, against a very good opponent? Or the latest information is they're going to play on Monday
and that
at
information
4:00.
Didn't even come out until during the game.
Right. So I'm not thinking the Chiefs are distracted at all, but it might have seemed too easy. Here we go again. We never lose to the Raiders. We never lose to division foes. I'm all comfortable with that. But I thought the 59-yard touchdown pass that Carr got off and the Raiders able to pull within 14-10 brought some hope back into the game. But really, I thought the Raiders-Chiefs game was pretty even to start. And I looked up at the scoreboard and said, Chiefs lead 14-3. Even if the Raiders give you a good effort the rest of the way, they're not going to outscore the Chiefs. But that turned on a dime, and your theory comes into play. It's a compliment to the Raiders, first of all, that they stuck with it. Down 14-3, it did not look good. They hit that pass. Now it's only 14-10, and they had to grind and continue to play, and it seemed like they felt better and better as the game went on, took it away from the Chiefs, did the things that they wanted to, coached well, executed well, hit a couple of big plays against the Chiefs, and at least made Patrick Mahomes and the offense stay off the field, and then when on the field, a little pressurized, got to the quarterback better than you would think they would with the pass rush. So I would, say, before we dig into the Chiefs, it took a lot of intestinal fortitude for the Raiders to fight back. It's more about them. Number two, I'd never discussed with you or anybody else the thoughts that the Chiefs are going to go undefeated. I think they're the best team in football, but it's the NFL. I don't disrespect that there are going to be losses in the season. So I am not in an overreact mode at all. The Chiefs are still the best football team, and they lost a game. They were going to lose probably two. The greatest teams in the NFL go about 14-2, not many 15-1s. So they're going to be fine. Obviously, there's some things to look at, but they are going through a very hard part of their schedule, Danny. You look at who they're playing.
Right.
The Ravens, the Steelers, the Raiders are the best team in the division. I think that they're going against. The Chargers match up pretty well with them, and they still have Buffalo left. Once they get past Buffalo, they're going to clear a little bit, and things will be better for the Chiefs. But it's always a big deal when you lose, so let's talk about it.
24-24 at the half, and so you still kind of expect that the Chiefs are in pretty good shape. Okay, the Raiders hit some big plays, but the second half should belong to the Chiefs. Well, the teams come out and immediately just don't do anything on offense after piling up over 600 yards of offense in the first. And that was probably maybe the biggest key, is the fact the Raiders had deferred. They come out and get a 3-and-out, and you're like, uh-oh, okay, the party's over for them. And then the Chiefs immediately get a 3-and-out. The Chiefs' offense went 6 consecutive possessions with 4 punts, a turnover, and I forget what happened in the other. Maybe they got a couple first downs. But anyway, what was it that is – I'm going to trot out a couple of things and have you react to them. First of all, they lost Osemele in the offensive line. That I think hurts their running game maybe more than their passing attack. The Raiders, even in the first half, were causing Patrick Mahomes to move around a lot. I'll start with this. I think Patrick Mahomes is too fond of moving around these days. I don't think he likes being in the pocket. I think he's too quick to start rolling around and making those fancy plays and throwing sidearm. Anything to that?
Well, I think so. You don't get a highlight reel when you stand in the pocket and deliver a perfect ball. That just is like an NFL quarterback. But some of the other plays, and they were highlight reel plays. I mean, are you kidding me? We could go down if we had video right now.
Went to Kelsey back across his body. That was amazing.
Unbelievable. And 2 or 3 times he was dead to rights, and there was just no chance. And he not only got away and didn't get sacked, which is pretty good, and sometimes retreating 12, 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage is still able to get a positive gain and a first down. But I do think you're right that it seems like he leaves the pocket quickly. And I don't know what the reason is, other than I don't know what the negativity is when he leaves the pocket.
Right.
He's not paying for it there. So what makes you upset? And is he more likely to get hit and hurt? Does he perceive that his offensive line isn't going to hold up on a play? I don't know, but I do think he's on the move a lot more than you would expect him to be. The offense isn't functioning at the level they want down after down when he's scrambling around as much as he is. I think that's a red flag and improvement to be made. Now, why? And is it Patrick saying that I'm bailing too quickly? You know, I don't know. I wouldn't be able to say that yet because
he
again,
did after the game. The good sign to me after the game, he said, "You know, we're not at our best when I'm running around making crazy plays." He actually said that, and so maybe And last week he had talked about the fact that he was drifting. Well, in this game he didn't drift back. He was going more side to side, and so that I guess is a half a step forward. But to me, he's almost like an outfielder who doesn't move on a home run and makes it look like a longer home run. I think him the way he's getting out of the pocket so fast is making his offensive line look worse than it actually is, I think. To me.
It definitely fits together who is breaking down first. Patrick Mahomes leaving the pocket too quickly before the pocket develops perfectly, or is it their blocks that are cracking and he knows to get out of here before the building falls down? I don't know, but I think he is right. I thought the game looked a lot like a high school quarterback, a star high school quarterback.
Right. That's a good analogy.
That you didn't have to get hit that much, but you knew they were worn out. Most NFL quarterbacks really don't exert that much energy in a game. They are excellent at what they do. Their concentration level's high. They move in the pocket. They're athletic. They scramble. I mean, it's still football, but compared to the other guys they're with out there in the huddle, they exert a lot less energy. That was not that high school player in my example. You look at that quarterback and you go, you exerted more energy than anybody alive because you drop back, you ran all over the place, then you throw, and now you're back in the huddle, and the next play you're doing the same thing. And I just could not believe every play looked like it's a broken play and Patrick Mahomes is running around. And you're right, Danny, you start asking questions, is the offensive line not holding up? What is it? But I don't think the Chiefs' offense isn't functioning at the highest level. He needs to have a number of throws from the pocket because he does not need to leave the pocket to be the best quarterback in the NFL. He can throw on time. He can throw the in-cutting routes. And, maybe it hurts that Sammy Watkins is not out there. I think Sammy Watkins is a big factor. You're only as good as your weakest link is one great football saying. When teams go to double, they might be able to double one guy and lean toward a doubling of a second guy, and that goes Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. Oh, when Sammy Watkins, we underplay how big a star he is because he handles himself well here in Kansas City. He's taken to his role, and he is not Tyreek Hill. He's not Travis Kelce. But his previous career as a first-round pick, he was the lead guy. He was a star. And I think he's a dangerous component for teams to leave in normal zone defense. They can't pay any attention to him other than here comes the receiver crossing. He's a big target. He's easy to see. So what effect does it have with him not in there versus some other people? I don't know. Patrick Mahomes is magical. It's hard to beat up the offense too much. It's fun to talk about.
They scored 32.
They scored 32, and if they would have got the ball again, they would have ripped down the field and had either 38 or 40, depending on how that two-point conversion worked. So the announcers calling the game with 5 minutes and 10 seconds left or 4:30, I would thought was unbelievable. Oh, this is a big win for the Raiders, and they're going on and on and on. I'm going, zip, there go the Chiefs down the field, and they make the two-point conversion, and they have plenty of time to get the ball back. And if they do, they're likely to tie this thing.
Yeah, I was doing bad math when I was watching, too. I had to go out and I watched the game at a remote place. I had to take my wife for a health procedure, but I was doing bad math. I was like, I in my mind, when they scored the touchdown, the interception touchdown, I'm like, oh, they're up 3 scores. I didn't really compute the 16.
Right.
And then there the Chiefs go parading down the field. I'm like, oh, if they get this in 8, I even tweeted out, I said, because I called the game too, I said, kind of funny to see garbage time in reverse out here. And then I tweeted, hey, if they run down the field here and get 8, this tweet's going to look pretty bad.
Now, you better be reeling that thing in because I go, have you guys watched the Super Bowl? There weren't that many minutes left when the Chiefs just blew down the field and ended up winning going away.
Right.
And Patrick had to look in his eyes. They were not going to be stopped. And so the Raiders going for 4th down, it was a good, sound decision because it doesn't matter if you punt the ball down to the 5. Right. 95
Field
yards doesn't take
doesn't
much,
matter.
Not in the NFL, not with Patrick Mahomes. So you got to try to go win the game when you're up by 8. But the announcers, and I like Charles Davis a lot. You and I have interviewed him, and I know Charles fairly well. I really like him. But the fact that they're putting up all kinds of graphics and talking about, the Chiefs finally win, they aren't going to go undefeated, and the Raiders set their jaw.
They're going to lose by more than 7 points for the first time.
Oh, yeah, they had that stat up there. And I'm going, this game is about ready to be tied. I really thought. So I'm not going to spend a lot of my emphasis this week as you prepare for another big game against Buffalo. The matchup looks more intriguing from a national perspective. Buffalo is going to be hard to beat. The Chiefs teams have seen now that they can not be intimidated by the Chiefs. There's a style, a strategy, a physicality that Buffalo has. So I think it's going to be a game where Buffalo has a real big chance to beat the Chiefs in the next game that they're going to play on Monday. But it's not so much about the offense. They scored 32 points, and they were a little inconsistent. I mean, what do you want? Your bad games are 32 points? That's not bad.
Right. It's not bad. It was sort of the sequencing of the game. This was, we talk about complimentary football. This is a complimentary loss. The defense was horrendous in the first half. Then when they got better, the offense, if they'd just done a little bit, then they would have, walked away with the game. But they picked the wrong time to have that 20-minute patch of playing bad. But overall, that's just normal NFL offense, but we're not used to watching that. So 20 minutes of lackluster offensive football sticks out more for the Chiefs.
No doubt about it. You said it well. For normal NFL teams, for good NFL teams, they have their ups and downs in a game. They punt once in a while. They have 3 and outs. They don't look pretty and beautiful all the time, and they run up the middle and get stuffed for 0 and then throw an incomplete pass, and then on 3rd and long, don't get it done. All those things happen, and the Chiefs are playing at a higher level. So if you want to say, well, that's not the Chiefs level, I'm with you. I have no problem. If you want to be negative or concerned, because that's the way it did sequence. There was a time where the Raiders got off the hook or played well enough that the Chiefs' offense just looked like a normal offense, that not every drive is going to be at least a field goal. Just like early in the game, when Osemele gets hurt, unfortunately, and that's an injury that hurts the Chiefs' physicality, a mentality, and those kind of things. But the penalty that they called on him was very iffy, But right before that, what a beautiful strike down the field that only two players in the NFL can do. Patrick Mahomes throwing against two defenders, rips a ball downfield 50, 60 yards, perfectly in stride, cutting through the hands of the defenders to Tyreek Hill, who still has a very hard catch while he's sprinting full speed and just grabs it like he's got glue on his hands. Clink, touchdown, called back. I mean, that play, if it wasn't called back, you check up another 7 points for the Chiefs, and things flow from the pocket. So they still are doing things that others don't dream about.
Right.
But, yeah, it was jagged. The Chiefs' offense didn't dictate. A real big story from the Chiefs' offense is the Patriots said, we're going to put so many little guys out here that we're going to just try to guard you in the pass game. We're going to have guys who are fast enough to run, show that they're lined up on the right side of the defense in the middle area and run to the left hash cover two. I mean, we're going to have guys going places they shouldn't be able to get, but they're going to have enough speed that we have time for our defenders to be interchangeable. You can't tell which one's going to be the safety. You can't tell which one's going to be the run support guy. We're going to keep you off balance and make you play after the snap into the identification mode. It's a great strategy. It creates a lot of stress on the defensive knowledge base and communication, but the Patriots can handle that. Now the teams are starting to say, well, I tell you what, it'd be a lot better to have all those guys back there in pass coverage, just rush 4, and hope we can slow down the Chiefs' running game. Hope Andy will want to throw. And the Chiefs did not penetrate and hurt the Raiders in the run game.
Yeah, that's 2 games in a row. And we all know that even yesterday, the Chiefs averaged 8 yards per attempt. You're not going to average 8 yards a carry. I mean, so the math is there. The metrics are there that throwing the football is better, but you throw the football better when you run it. I mean, that's exactly what the Raiders did to set up Josh Jacobs only averaged at 3.3 yards a carry, but he was an effective runner yesterday.
They invested in the run. Gruden is using a little bit of old school football because he was on the edge of the passing game back in 98, 99, 2000, 2001, 2002 when he got over the hump and won the Super Bowl and had both Tampa Bay and the Raiders at a high level playing teams, and they were really willing to adapt to that West Coast offense and throw as much as you run and all that. But he's really said, I think learning from the Patriots, it's okay to run against the Chiefs. If you get 3 yards against the Chiefs, it's not bad, and the clock keeps running. There's no incompletion. We're taking time away from Patrick Mahomes, and we've got to invest in that run. And the Chiefs become lethal when they let their stars shine on defense. Frank Clark, down after down after down. I don't think he's that dominant, but on that play where he flashes, those 3 or 4 plays where he blows something up in the backfield, gets a strip sack, wins you ball games. Chris Jones, same thing. He's a big old boy. He's hard to play against. You got to know where he is all the time. But really, when you look at a whole game, he's only a factor a few times where he just comes and gets his arms up and crushes the guard to center and the quarterback knocks a ball down. Tyrann Mathieu is like a lot of good players in the NFL, down after down. But what makes him spectacular is when he flashes and gets that interception that, why are you reading that? You should be 15 yards to the left, and you read it, and you pick the ball off, or you make a sack. Those 3 guys really give you the flash plays. If they don't hit the flash plays, then you have some opportunity. And they didn't show up yesterday. I mean, It's not their fault, but they can't call it out and say, this is my play, I'm going to do it.
Right.
But they didn't have those flash plays.
Right.
In fact,
with Frank Clark, it was a quiet day.
And in fact, they threw one of the touchdowns in the area where Tyrann Mathieu was. It wasn't only his responsibility because they're in a cover 2 look, it looked like, and he split the safeties. But still, completing a long pass when Tyrann Mathieu's around, period, is big bonus coverage for the Raiders. But my point is, when you play the Chiefs, you can run the ball against them some. You need to go invest in it.
Right.
And if you avoid their flash defensive plays, you can go ahead and score against the Chiefs defense enough to keep your team competitive and just hope something happens on the other side, like one interception. The Raiders got 1 interception, which is usually saving 7 points from the Chiefs scoring and also set them up so close to the goal line where they got an easy score. So that's a big turnaround, and that's what you hope for. That said, look at the formula it takes the Raiders to do. 2 bombs that work, an interception, which rarely happens, with a nice return
where the Chiefs just blew a coverage.
Fourth down, you have to go for it and convert on 4th down. All those things had to happen just so you didn't end up in overtime.
Right.
And you had to score 40 points.
Yep.
The Chiefs are so good. I mean, that's still my message today. The Chiefs are so good, the best team in football.
And finally, you touched on it a little bit. I'm sure Buffalo, because they don't have designs on getting the number one seed or anything, I bet they would have preferred the Chiefs won the game. I mean, because the Chiefs now they're refocused and they'll have an extra day and all that stuff. So I think the Chiefs will be a tougher opponent than they even would have been. But Buffalo's a good team, and they seem to have found a good vein of form, and their quarterback keeps improving. So it should be a very exciting game.
Josh Allen is really turned into a good pro. He always is a dangerous running quarterback, and that's tough on teams, as we know. We see Patrick Mahomes cut people's heart out with scrambles for first downs, even though you don't think of him as a runner. He effectively gets those yards. Josh Allen can do that. He's throwing better from the pocket, but they lead with defense. Their coach is learning more and more about how to prepare his team to be the favorite rather than the underdog. They played a nice underdog role the last couple of years. They've done a nice job making the playoffs. It was a miracle 2 years ago. Last year was a disappointment what they did in the first round of the playoffs, but their football team was good all year. But they just kept saying, we're fighting for second against New England. That's not a lot of pressure.
Right.
It's not a lot of pressure to be the Raiders right now, Danny.
Right.
There really isn't. There's 7 playoff teams. You're trying to make it. But if you don't, no one's going to be too upset with you because it's hard to make the playoffs. And the Chiefs are going to win the division. If you can beat them, it's a celebration. It's a big win. But the Raiders are playing for second, playing for a wild card. Buffalo's been doing that for a couple years. Now Tom Brady moves. The Patriots lose Cam Newton for a game. They've lost 2 games already, 2 close games already. But still, Buffalo's the elite of the East. And I think they're more ready for it now. Now, it's been a weird schedule for them. How will they handle playing a Tuesday night game and having a short week and a short, weird week? They're going Tuesday to Monday. And, Danny, I talked about Monday to Sunday as a hard turnaround for teams. But one thing about the Chiefs that we got to take into account, this is a new year. This is a new team. Run it back is okay to say because Patrick Mahomes and the whole coaching staff is back. But it's a new year. Are they getting a little complacent that they need something to fire them up? Is it that point where you've seen teams throughout history that would play to the level of their competition and still find a way to win, but when they really got asked to turn it on, they could take it to a whole nother level? I think the Chiefs got rewarded so much by saying, let's go ahead and concentrate, flip the switch. Like some of those Indy cars, they run, but they get a couple times they get hit the booster.
Right.
When do you hit that booster? I think they took to it so well and just ripped the Ravens apart. When the nation said, here we go, game of the year, the Chiefs said, not the game of the year, we're going to crush these guys. But it seems like is this going to be where they need to be excited to ramp their game up? I don't know. It's human nature. They're so good. Maybe it is. I don't want to make too much of this because I told you before, you're going to lose some games. But will Buffalo gain their attention, especially being on a Monday afternoon? Will it gain their attention like the Ravens game, or will they just say, it's another game, let's go? I think you point out, well, having lost creates a greater concentration level.
Yes.
You listen a little closer to everything Andy Reid says, and says, do you realize the Bills are undefeated and they're the newest flavor in the world? They're the new Ravens, the new Patriots. Let's go, guys. But when the Chiefs do focus in and say, let's go, they have all the components to take it to another level.
Absolutely. So does Stan. He takes it to another level each and every time, and we've got some interesting college action to talk about as well coming up next on Danny and Stan's Football Weekend.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
Let's spend a minute with Dr. Brad Woodle, who, along with his wife, Dr. Christina Woodle, the owners of Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture, my home for chiropractic care. And first of all, just tell us about the wide range of services you offer.
Danny, we offer comprehensive chiropractic, acupuncture, physiotherapy, and rehab. We do a very thorough examination, x-rays on site as necessary, and we have a full rehabilitation department, so we can help out with exercises, stretches, different therapies for the complex, but also the very simple conditions we treat.
You have been deemed essential and have remained open all through this COVID-19 process. What are some of the things you've done to make sure that was the case?
From the very beginning, in March, we started to make sure that we were cleaning and sanitizing with EPA-registered sanitizing products. We also implemented masks way before the state required them. We implemented a parking lot waiting room, took out half of the chairs in our waiting room, and made sure to space out visits so we could appropriately meet, discuss, and also screen patients to make sure we were taking care of healthy people.
Find out more about Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture and how they can help you at asfca.com.
Hi, everybody. This is Matt Llewellyn from 23rd Street Brewery in Lawrence. I just want to thank everybody for supporting local restaurants during this time of uncertainty. 23rd Street Brewery is now open until this pandemic is over. And right now, more than anything, local restaurants need your help and support. Come on out and see us. 23rd Street Brewery is open now from 11:30 till 9 o'clock for dine-in and carry-out. Whatever we can do to help you out, maybe with your catering needs, too. I appreciate all the support. And thank you for continuing to shop local.
I'm here with Tim Emerson, the owner of Emerson & Company. And Tim, give us an idea of the range of services that you provide from Emerson & Company.
At Emerson & Company, we do credit card processing, payroll services. We do bookkeeping, merchant accounts like point-of-sale systems.
What would you say differentiates you from other companies in the field, and what makes you special?
I think what makes us unique is that we're a small local business making regional decisions on companies. We create a profile for the business and then put it out to our different vendors in a very competitive environment and tailor those needs to the specific business, which usually ends up in a great fit or great result for the company.
And, of course, the idea is to save money, right?
Save money, and actually sometimes I'm surprised where actually a solution that may cost a little bit more ultimately does save money, but we're not conditioned to think like that sometimes.
Emerson & Company. Check them out at emerson-co.com or call them at 816-360-9092. Firsthand, I have enjoyed the benefits of the CBD products from Canaway. My back feels better and better these days, as a major part of my routine are the pain-relieving salve and the Pure Gold oil. And recently, I had the pleasure of a treatment session using the Canaway CBD in conjunction with the Microlight 830 cold laser. The non-invasive treatment session worked wonders, and I could barely tell I was even being touched. TML 830 is the first 3B cold laser to get FDA approval, and in addition, the combination treatment with CBD is patent pending. The new Smart Laser is the only hands-free cold laser in the world and is used by athletic trainers, chiropractors, MDs, physical therapists, and veterinarians everywhere. You can learn more about all the great benefits from the complete line of Canaway CBD products by contacting my friend Sherry McCants at 515-208-6312. That's 515-208-6312 to get outstanding information about Canaway. If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at Danny@DannyKlinkScale.com. Look forward to hearing from you. Back with Stan, and darn if it's going to be another Tuesday one next week for Danny and Stan's football weekend. We never know what this...
We are scheduling meetings right here live on the podcast.
Yeah, and hey, we don't...
Yet to be determined, Danny.
Yeah, we're not certain. Is it going to be
a couple of COVID
even
tests
Monday?
away from being Tuesday.
Yeah, we're not certain of where the college games are. What we were certain of is that not COVID, but a hurricane changed the dynamic for the Missouri Tigers LSU game. Instead of that game being down in Baton Rouge, it goes to Columbia, and from a nighttime start to an 11 o'clock start. By the way, this little note. Here's how much of a sports fan I was, and maybe even a football fan when I was younger. I love football still, but maybe not as much as you're affected by it. Here's how my life, worked when I was young. I really considered at one point in time, I think I'd like to go to LSU because they would show a Saturday night football game, and I'm like, that looks like the coolest thing I've ever seen. Now, eventually, when it came time to go to college, I didn't even consider LSU, but this was like when I was 15. But at that Saturday night prime time, you didn't see that much college football on television, but a nighttime college game and those fans and everything was crazy. So anyway, that little sidebar.
We need to do a quick history lesson, Danny, to put your statement in perspective. Almost every college football game was at 1:10
right
in this part of the country, and probably true onto the East Coast. The reason you might be able to stick a 2:30 kickoff in because TV, but you had to be very careful of what time of year it was because no one had lights.
Right.
So when LSU had lights, So I want everyone to understand what you're talking about. Not only is it a cool atmosphere and they love to party, and there's no place like LSU on a Saturday night. When they used to play Saturday nights and you saw it as a 15-year-old, no Big 8 team or Southwest Conference team had lights in their stadium. I'm telling you, Danny,
right.
1984 is the first time permanent lights were put into a Big 12, Big 8 stadium.
Yeah, I remember
1984.
KU and K-State played a game
1982
with temporary lights.
TBS, they hired a company to put up not scaffolding, but risers up, and had these lights, and they're like put 4 of them in there, so it's kind of okay light, not real great light.
Right.
That was 1982, the first time there was a night game at home in a Big 8 school with the temporary lights. Kansas played a game with temporary lights a year or so later in Lawrence. You may not realize that they did that. I think they played a Thursday night game.
Yeah, I was on campus then, so I remember, yes.
So they did that. But 1984 is when K-State put in lights permanently. And then now everyone's followed, and we have games at all times. So back then, to see a night game was incredible.
It was cool.
But the point you point out is very relevant, and I don't want to be disrespectful to Missouri, because what a big win. I don't care where you win. You're going to mark down this forever. We beat LSU, and you don't play LSU very often in the SEC. You don't cross over and play them.
And this was an added game.
Yeah, so you're going to now be able to say, our record as an SEC opponent against LSU is 1-0, or it is going to be a dynamic memory. So that is the lead story by far. But the dynamics of it turning around is why last week I said, don't be surprised if Missouri fights in this game and things change, because the players are a bit of creatures of habit. And when you tell LSU you have a home game, we're going to play at night, and suddenly it flips like a snap of the fingers because of a hurricane, which they take seriously in Louisiana. You're going to go up to Missouri and play at 11 o'clock. Well, that is completely different for the players. And LSU's got a problem right now. They got a bunch of guys who are prima donnas who think that they are the national champions.
Right.
Well, they have national championship rings, but they also were running backup plays when Joe Burrow and the guys are out there running the starters plays.
Yeah, because they've lost 17 starters. So there's only 5 guys who were starting.
Right. So LSU has a great reputation, and the uniforms are iconic. They won the national championship last year. They are a national power over the last 5 years. They were highly recruited. They thought because they lived with Joe Burrow and the guys and were in the same locker room that they are the same, but they're not. They got ripped by Mississippi State, and look what Mississippi State's done since then.
Right.
They didn't score last game a touchdown. They did not score a touchdown the whole game for the first time in Mike Leach's head coaching career against Kentucky. So Mississippi State lit LSU up and nobody else, and Missouri just threw for 400 yards. So this LSU team is finding its way. They got a lot to learn, and they're not a great team yet, but they think they're great. It's the perfect combination for an upset. But still, I think if they would have had their home grass, their loud fans playing at night on Saturday, I think they probably would have found a way to get over the hump and beat Missouri. But when it moved to Columbia and you turn that into a home game at 11 o'clock, I thought the chances for Missouri shot up. And we thought Missouri was going to be okay playing against Tennessee. I don't think you were arguing with me that Missouri Tennessee should be a competitive battle with what we've seen, and Tennessee just took the game, did a nice job. So I talked about it last week. I thought Mizzou had a big chance. I think the change in the venue made a difference. It helped Missouri get over the hump and win the ball game. But if you want to be excited about Missouri football, start with Bazelak as the quarterback. You found your guy. You didn't know going into the season. There are 3 prospects. 1 transfers out. Sean Robinson's most likely to transfer in from TCU. He's not your guy. So now you got more eligibility. Your guy, not a retread or any of that, not the limitations I think Sean Robinson has. You got Bazelak, throws for 400 yards against LSU on a day where you didn't do everything right. Missouri turned over the football.
Yeah.
Missouri had a bad fake punt that gave LSU a great chance
to score. They really should have blown him out.
So, and LSU had plenty of times to just grasp the game and say, we got this. I mean, Ed Ogeron was clapping over there. He's pretty happy for a while.
They were ahead much of the game.
And then you put a defensive stand-up on a day where you were getting the ball moved against you, at least in the passing game. LSU's passing game really is very, very good and got some unbelievable receivers, including a freshman. But to hold them at the goal line, 4 downs at the 1 with a game on the line, hey, that is awesome play.
That's a memory of, for a Missouri, say you're a student
reverse 5th down. I mean,
that's there's no. I told you this before. My wife spoiled. I had the game the last quarter DVR'd, and my wife didn't realize it, and she just blurted out that Missouri won the game. So I didn't have any. There was no tension there. I'm watching the game. I knew Missouri was going to stop them, but still, I still almost couldn't believe it. I'm like, how can they not get in from the 1 yard line?
There was no tension from Missouri fans either because they knew they were going to score.
Right.
I mean, when they got that pass down to 1, you go,
oh, we gave
call
it a good
timeout,
effort.
save time. That's what everyone was yelling at their TV or radio. Call timeouts, use our timeouts, save
Let them
times,
score.
Let them score. All these things legitimately are thought processes. And I was in Fort Worth monitoring the game, but I'm getting ready to do a game.
Yeah.
I got pregame show with you. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff going on. And I saw the catch down to the 1, and I go, well, LSU's going to score and get out of here. I didn't see the first 2 runs, and I can't stay away very long, Danny. So for me, that was a long break, okay? It's like I went on a 5-mile run for you. I mean, I missed the first 2 plays. And I look back and I go, okay, now it's 3rd down. And that play didn't look so good. And I go, this is a 1-play game. But the plays that I missed, the first 2, must have been the most impressive. LSU's at the 1, has time to run. They got some big bad dudes up there.
Yep.
I mean, there is no reason why you wouldn't be betting. If you're when we get to the point where gambling is going to be allowed for every play, will they score on this play? Yes. 95% of the bet comes in that direction, and they stop them twice, and turn them back such that they think pass on 3rd down. Not, well, we're going to do this 4 times.
Right.
They broke LSU's confidence that they could even run the ball in. So tremendous win. Just a great job by Missouri after being beaten by Tennessee and taking some of the juice and hope away from, hey, Eli Drinkwitz is really going to have this team rolling in the right direction. It just takes a spark to get that fire going, and they got a giant spark. Nice win, Mizzou.
And unless they really just stub their toe, they're going to get to have a nice validation. Vanderbilt played pretty well their first week, but they've gotten punked the last couple of weeks. So if Missouri just pays attention, they should back it up.
Hey, Mizzou, if you would have had a chance to be 2-2 after the Vanderbilt game, would you have taken it? Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Whoever you beat in your first 3, you say that's a good win. Let's beat Vanderbilt. So they're back on course to see how good they can be this year, and now you also have a quarterback you can be excited about.
Well, dreams now are starting to really be created for the Kansas State Wildcats because they win again. It wasn't pretty. Their offense had 3 plays that accounted for about 85% of their offense. Will Howard really didn't look particularly good, but he had a great long run. K-State continues to get super timely big plays, and then the defense was really, really good all day long. I texted you that this was sort of a lunch pail type of effort, and it was. And I think you can just say that this team, again, shows that they know how to win. And now that they've done it 3 times, forget about the fact that they're a nice little team. Oklahoma and Texas both have 2 losses in the conference. So this is for real now.
It is for real, and you look around, and why wouldn't the games be competitive? It's an NFL type of look. Doesn't mean you're going to win the next game. It's just you're going to be there all game long. And I thought it was very telling. I talked to my son the next day after the game, and a couple things that he doesn't comment a lot, but the thing he said was, we knew it would be rough all day long. I mean, never doubted it. Like even at the end, it got a little nerve-wracking, or TCU was behind and needed to score twice, and they got a 4th down conversion and scored, and then they got the ball back, and K-State had a late penalty, so they were launching it into the end zone from K-State's side of the field, all those things. But it was interesting listening to him. He just, like a coach or something, said, we had no doubt it was just going to be a all-day long deal. Never even blinked, didn't seem nervous at all out there. And then he said when we went in the locker room, there wasn't much of a celebration. It's just like, yep, this is what we knew we were going to do. We went and did it. Let's go win. And you're thinking, wow, you just won with Will Howard, a freshman quarterback, a true freshman quarterback, only the 4th to start in K-State history. And you went out and beat TCU as a 10-point favorite over you, who just beat Texas, and really, in Max Duggan, have found a good combination of quarterback, 20-year head coach, and Gary Patterson, whose defense is so good. And they just know what they need to do.
But the toughness of K-State is shown in the fact that they knocked Duggan out of the game.
They hit him
legitimate
hard.
And the hit that finally did it, and he would come back, but you could tell he just wasn't really there. I mean, he must have had to beg his way back in the game. But with a legitimate form tackle, old-fashioned hit, they just knocked the quarterback out of the game. That was a big deal.
Yeah, and he is dangerous, and Elijah Sullivan smashed him there. They really controlled him all game. The scramble he had for a touchdown on 4th down, the dive to the pylon, very good play. It's the kind of play that he makes all the time. But K-State really held him in check, hit him hard, controlled their running game, and we're the better team. I mean, if you just watch the tape without the scoreboard up, and I just showed you here, these are just some series, Danny. Neither team's really moving the ball tremendously, but watch. You go, wow, the team wearing the white jerseys is the better team.
Right.
They just are more physical. They have more control of things. But K-State relies on a lot of different things. The TCU broadcasters are really good guys and friends of ours, and one of them I played against when I was in college, and he was a punter. So he couldn't help but be amazed that K-State switches their punters like every time. He goes, who has 2 punters that can punt like that? What is the deal? How can you tell the difference in them? Just they boot the ball up, and J.D. Spielman is the Spielman that is the general manager of the Minnesota Vikings and Chris Spielman's brother, and this is Chris Spielman's nephew. He was a Nebraska star. He played for Nebraska as one of their best receivers, transferred to TCU as a grad transfer. He had a kickoff return for a touchdown his freshman year, a punt return for a touchdown each of the last 2 years for Nebraska. Did a great job in receiving. He's explosive, and he's one of the top returners in the nation right now, averaging almost 15 yards a punt return. That was a big issue for K-State. Were they going to be able to stop this punt returner? He becomes a non-factor. And these guys are coming to me after the game going, how can you just rotate punters and keep him from punting the ball? They keep blasting it. But Ty Zentner, one of the punters, hit a 65-yard punt just when K-State needed it. They were backed up.
Right.
They were backed up and punting to this star punt returner. This is the time where you thought K-State has the lead, but TCU is going to get great field position and maybe get into scoring range on this return. Instead, he blasts it over his head, rolls inside the 10, and K-State has an interception return right after that to really solidify the whole game. K-State's doing all the little things. They're really good on special teams, Danny. They stress you on every special teams play. If it's a kickoff return, punt blocks. They didn't block a punt, but guess what? They had like a 30-yard punt return against TCU. They can do it all. So they really are playing sound football. The defense is picking it up. Joe Klannerman's the new defensive coordinator. I've never seen anything like this. He legitimately rolled through 21 different players on defense. And you cannot tell which ones are in and which ones are out. I don't know if the analytics say, well, do you realize when Cody Fletcher's in the game, K-State? No, I don't know that stat yet. But so far I haven't found a trend. It doesn't matter which of the combination is in there. They're playing higher level defense. Now, Will Howard, he really played a clean game, the best he could. And you're right, K-State, how about this? 2 years in a row, have less than 300 yards of offense. I think maybe 285 or so. In this game, they won. Last year, 266 yards against TCU in a win, and you got to win with big plays. That's what you got to do. Last year, a 61-yard run by Skylar Thompson was the difference for K-State winning a close game. And this year, Will Howard goes for an 80-yard quarterback draw, same play. And then they had a 45-yard pass to Deuce Vaughn. Other than that, they had 55 plays for not that many yards.
Right.
But they don't turn it over. They don't get themselves in bad situations. It's a weird way to win football. But it's not something that the K-State players blink an eye at. Coach Kleiman says, we're fine, and the players believe it.
And now the easy joke is that K-State has 2 byes in a row as they are off next week, and then they play Kansas.
I heard Nate Bukaty say the Will Howard wins on the road is outpacing the Kansas team.
Right, absolutely. So,
for conference road wins and things like that.
Great analysis, college football stories that put a smile on campus faces, and the Kansas City Chiefs now refocusing. And Stan, always a pleasure.
I guess I'll talk to you next Tuesday, Danny. A little Monday night Chiefs football. Wow. Are you going to change the name from the weekend if they play on Tuesday night? Yeah, there is a Tuesday night NFL game this week. The Chiefs could be pushed back to Tuesday next week.
The Saturday, the college game's over.
MAC action, and we could call it the Buff Bash. How about Buffalo every Tuesday night to give them a little bit more national exposure? They play the Titans on Tuesday. How about the Chiefs next Tuesday? I love the NFL on Tuesday, Danny. That's the only thing good about this COVID stuff. Give me some more Tuesday night NFL.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, Danny.
We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Klingscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new. This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like
NoNonsenseHealthcareNinja.com, specializing in expert healthcare guidance and assistance for you.